Report on violence and violations based on real or presumed sexual orientation or gender identity during the month of July 2024. The 12th of August 2024. Contents. 1. Introduction. 2. Methodology. 2. 3. Nature and number of cases reported. 2. 3.1 cases involving actual and threatened violence. 3. 3.2 cases of arrests. 8. 3.3 evictions. 13. 4. Comparison with June 2024. 15. 5. Comparison with July 2023. 16. 6. The first 14 months of the AHA 2023 in Uganda. 17.7. Conclusion. 18.1. Introduction. This is the 14th monthly report on violence and other human rights violations on the basis of sexual orientation and gender identity expression since the Anti-Homosexuality Act, AHA, came into force on the 30th of May 2023. The report discusses cases in which known or suspected LGBTIQ persons were targeted for violence and violations purely on the basis of their SOGIE as reported in the month of July 2024. This report builds on the reports produced earlier in this series and therefore seeks to build on the data available about the enforcement of the AHA 2023 from the 30th of May 2023. To date. 2. Methodology. This report provides an overview of cases of violence and human rights violations on the basis of SOGIE that were reported to the HRAPF Legal Aid Clinic in July 2024. The data for this report was collected using both qualitative and quantitative methods of data collection, and it was independently verified and analyzed to ensure its accuracy. Quantitative data was obtained from a review of case files, which method yielded data on the number of cases handled and the number of cases in which acts of violence or other human rights violations were identified. This data was then subjected to a further in-depth qualitative analysis to ascertain the circumstances under which the incidents occurred, in order to ascertain that only cases in which such acts were perpetrated purely or primarily on the basis of real or presumed SOGIE are included in the report. The data presented in this report is limited by the fact that it covers only cases reported through the HRAPF Legal Aid Network. The report presents a fair picture of the situation for LGBTIQ persons across the country as reported to HRAPF's countrywide network of community paralegals, regional legal aid centers, specialized legal aid desks and the main legal aid clinic, but it may not be representative of all LGBTIQ persons, lived realities during the month, as we acknowledge the possibility that not all cases that occurred in July 2024 were reported to HRAPF's network. 3. Nature and number of cases reported. HRAPF handled a total of 72 cases in the month of July 2024, marking a reduction from the 81 cases handled in June 2024. Out of the 72 cases handled, 34 cases involved actions that directly targeted people for negative treatment on the basis of their SOGIE, representing 47.2% of all the cases handled during the month of July 2024. There was a slight increase in the number of cases in which individuals were targeted for negative treatment on the basis of their SOGIE, from 32 cases in June 2024 to 34 cases in July 2024, a 6.25% increase. And the number of victims of these incidents increased from 34 persons in June to 40 persons in July 2024, a 17.6% increase. Out of the 34 cases in which LGBTIQ people were specifically targeted for detrimental treatment during the month of July 2024, 13 cases involved violence and threats of violence against persons on the basis of their SOGIE, 11 cases involved arrests based on sexual orientation and/or gender identity, while 10 were eviction cases. This section of the report provides detailed data on these cases. 3.1 Cases involving actual and threatened violence. Cases involving violence and threats of violence against individuals on the basis of their real or presumed SOGIE were the highest category of cases registered during the month of July 2024 at 14 verified cases affecting 15 persons. This is a slight reduction from the 15 cases affecting 16 victims reported in June 2024. Cases of actual violence on the basis of sexual orientation, gender identity. There were 9 cases of actual violence against persons on the basis of their real or presumed SOGIE in July 2024, affecting 10 persons. This violence was perpetrated by unknown persons in 6 cases, members of the general community in which the victims resided in 2 cases and the neighbors in 1 case. All the cases involved physical violence and the clients sustained injuries, some of which were serious. 3 of these cases were reported in Wakizo, 2 in Kampala, 2 in Busha and 1 case each in Amoro and Isingiro districts. The table below discusses these cases in detail. No. Case code date of reporting. District nature of violence. Perpetrator brief facts number of victims. 1. HRAPF PA 625 2024. The 7th of January 25 Busha physical assault. Community members. The client was attacked by persons from within his community who accused him of being a homosexual. While the client was at his home seated, several people in company of their defense secretary came to his home accusing him of being a homosexual. They started assaulting him and in the process of defending himself, he grabbed one of the people who had come to assault him and went with him to Busha police station. He reported an assault case against him. Unfortunately, the person was never detained and the case has never proceeded to court. 2. HRAPF PA 624 2024. The 7th of February 24 Busha physical assault. Unknown persons. While the client was on his way home from work, a certain man who was unknown to him stopped him as if he wanted to inquire about something. A few minutes after the client stopped to talk to the man, several other men approached the client and started assaulting him. They accused him of being a homosexual and that he was recruiting young boys around Busha town into homosexuality. More people emerged from hiding and started assaulting him. During the attack, the client's phone was stolen. 1. 3. HRAPF PA 626 2024. The 7th of February 25 Kampala physical assault. Community members. The client was assaulted by a mob on suspicions of being a homosexual. This was after the client hosted a friend for a period of 2 weeks, and when his friend's mother learned about her son being hosted by the client, she mobilized several people around the village who started assaulting the client, accusing him of being a homosexual. 1. 4. HRAPF PA 622 2024. The 7th of May 24 Kampala physical assault. Unknown person. The client was assaulted by unknown men on his way home at around 9 p.m. 3 men who were unknown to him pounced on him and started beating him while accusing him of being gay because he usually associated with a certain transgender woman who several people around their village had always accused to be a homosexual. 1. 5. HRAPF PA 628 2024. The 7th of May 24 Isingiro physical assault. Unknown persons. The client was assaulted by a group of men who were unknown to him. They accused him of being a homosexual and ordered him to vacate the refugee settlement, alleging that he was the one leading to the problems which they were having in their home country, Congo. 1. 6. HRAPF PA 623 2024. The 7th of June 24 Amoro physical assault. Unknown persons. The client went to visit his friend but found when he had briefly moved out and left his door open. He entered inside his friend's house and decided to wait for him. After a few minutes, some young man who was unknown to the client also came looking for the client's friend, and he also entered inside and decided to wait for the client's friend. While they were both seated inside waiting for their friend, some people started making noise that the client was a homosexual who was assaulting the second visitor. 2 men forcefully entered the house and started assaulting the client and threatened to report him at police. The client sustained serious injuries which required hospitalization. 7. HRAPF PA 627 2024. The 7th of June 24 Wakizo physical assault. Unknown persons. The client was assaulted by unknown persons while she was from her workplace heading to her home at around 7 p.m. The persons who assaulted her accused her of promoting homosexuality. 1. 8. HRAPF, PA, 629-24. The 14th of July 24 Wakizo physical assault. Neighbors. One of the client's neighbors outed them as a lesbian. She mobilized some men who were unknown to the clients. These men invaded their home, assaulted them and destroyed their property, and that as a result of the attack, the clients sustained serious bodily injuries. 2. 9. HRAPF, PA, 630-4. The 20th of July 24 Wakizo physical assault. Unknown persons. The client linked up with a certain man who was unknown to him on Grindr, and they started chatting for some few days. They agreed to meet in person. On the meeting day, the man came with 4 other men and they assaulted the client, took his belongings including his phone, and they started calling the contacts in his phone including his parents and outed him that he was a homosexual. 1. Cases involving threats of violence based on sexual orientation and/or gender identity. A total of 4 cases involving threats of violence against persons on the basis of their real or presumed SOGIE were reported in July 2024. These directly affected 4 persons. All the 4 cases were threats of physical violence. The threats were perpetrated by family and religious leaders in one case, community leaders in one case, friends in one case, and unknown persons in one case. 2 cases happened in Wakizo and 1 case each in Gulu and Mbarara districts. No. Case code. Date of reporting. District. Nature of threats. Perpetrator. Brief facts. Number of victims. 1. HRAPF, PA, 635-24. The 7th of October 24 Wakizo threats of physical violence. Unknown persons. Persons unknown to the client were threatening to kill him if he did not vacate their village on suspicions that the client was a homosexual. Unknown people attempted to break into his house twice, but they would find him awake. 1. 2. HRAPF, PA, 634-24. The 7th of November 24 Mbarara threats of physical violence. Family members, religious leaders. The client was chased away from home after his relatives learned about his sexuality. He then went and started staying with a friend. However, his relatives continued following him up and even reported him to some Muslim leaders around their village, who started following him and threatening him that if he did not get married, they would ensure that he is harmed and also ensure that he is evicted from their village. 1. 3. HRAPF, PA, 633-24. The 13th of July 24 Wakizo threats of physical violence. Friends. The client belongs to a certain club which they formed for purposes of exercising, and they usually convene and play various games. That some of the club members learned about the client being a transgender man, and they started 1. Threatening to assault him if he did not quit being part of their group. That he has since stopped engaging in the club activities, but some of the club members keep calling him and threatening to harm him if he doesn't stop, acting and presenting himself as male yet he is female. 1. 4. 2. 4. HRAPF, PA, 632-2024. The 16th of July 24 Gulu threats of physical violence. Community leaders. The client's friend outed her to her landlord that she works with an organization which deals with gay persons and accused her of recruiting young boys into homosexuality. Consequently, the client's landlord reported her to the local area leaders, who started threatening that they would harm her if she did not vacate the village. This forced the client to run away from the village in fear that she would be harmed. 1. 3.2 cases of arrests. There was a drastic increase in the number of arrests on sexuality-related charges, from 5 arrests in June affecting 5 individuals to 11 arrests in July affecting 14 individuals. In 8 of these cases, the persons arrested were charged under the AHA 2023. In 5 cases the clients were charged with homosexuality, in 2 cases the clients were charged with promotion of homosexuality, and in 1 case the client was charged with attempted homosexuality. In 3 cases the clients were charged under the Penal Code Act, in 1 case each, the clients were charged with impersonation and unnatural offenses. In 3 cases where the clients had been charged under the AHA, the charges were sanctioned by the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions and the clients were arraigned in courts of law, 2 on charges of promotion of homosexuality and 1 on charges of homosexuality. 2 cases were handled at Busha Chief Magistrates Court while 1 case was handled at the Mengo Chief Magistrates Court. In 8 cases, the clients were released on police bond and these cases are still under investigation. 4 of these cases were registered from Kampala, 3 cases from Busha, 2 cases from Wakizo and 1 case each from Isingiro and Mukono districts. This table provides a detailed breakdown of the arrests. No. Case code. Date of reporting. District charge brief facts number of victims. 1. HRAPF PA 66 and 4/24. The 7th of January 24 Busha attempted homosexuality. The client had a conversation with a random person on Facebook. They chatted for some days and then agreed to meet at a certain bar in Busha town. On the 1st of July 2024, the client met the person who revealed that he was a military officer and arrested the client and handed him over to the police. The client was subjected to an anal medical examination and charged with attempted homosexuality. He was released on the 4th of July 2024. 1. 2. HRAPF PA 66 and 3/24. The 7th of May 24 Wakizo impersonation on the 5th of July 2024, the client, a transgender, was at a bar where she worked as a karaoke performer. A man offered her client a drink, and the client passed out soon thereafter. When she regained consciousness, she found herself in a guest house, totally naked, surrounded by police officers. The officers asked her whether she was a man or a woman, and subsequently arrested her and detained her at Namunguna police station and charged her with impersonation. Videos of her dressing up later made their way on social media. She was granted police bond on the 6th day of July 2024. 1. 3. HRAPF the 7th of August 24 Wakizo homosexuality on the 8th of July 2024. The client hired a boda to ride him to his destination, but upon reaching, the client had 2. PA 66 and a 24th. No money to pay him. The boda rider then rode the client to a boda stage and mobilized other riders who assaulted the client. They then dragged the client to a nearby police station. Upon reaching the station, the police officers started searching his bag and they found some lubricants. They immediately grabbed his phone and they also started checking it. During the process, the officers saw some gay porn videos in the client's phone and they detained him on allegations of homosexuality. One of the client's friends who had come to rescue him at police was also arrested and detained over the same charges. They were later released on police bond. The clients were detained for 2 days and they were released on the 10th day of July 2024. 4. HRAPF PA 66 and 2/24. The 7th of August 24 Mukono unnatural offences. On the 5th of July 2024, 2 men were found kissing in a bar in Lugazi. They were arrested and detained at Lugazi police station on charges of unnatural offences. The police checked their phones and found photos of them kissing and also checked their WhatsApp messages. They were later released on the 11th of July 2024 on police bond after HRAPF lawyers served the police with an application for unconditional release before court. 2. 5. HRAPF PA 66 and 2/24. The 7th of September 24 Kampala promotion of homosexuality. The client met a man while he had gone for prayers at a nearby mosque next to his home and the two became friends. The client one time wrote a letter to the man expressing his love for him and the man reported the client to police and also took the letter which had been written to him to the police officers. The client was arrested on the 3rd of July 2024 and charged with promotion of homosexuality. The charges were sanctioned by the resident state attorney and the one client was arraigned in court on the 12th day of July 2024 and he was remanded until the 14th of August 2024. 6. HRAPF PA 65 and 5/24. The 16th of July 24 Busha promotion of homosexuality. On the 16th of July 2024, the client was found at a birthday party and he was arrested by police officers who accused him of having featured in a video clip which was recorded in 2023 while having sex with a fellow man. The officers stated that they had been looking for him since then. After 8 days in police custody, the client was consequently arraigned at Bussia Chief Magistrates Court on the 24th of July 2024 and he was remanded until the 29th of August 2024. 1. 7. HRAPF, PA, 65 and 6/24. The 17th of July 24 Bussia homosexuality and possession of government stores. On the 17th of July 2024, the client together with his friends were celebrating a birthday party for one of their colleagues when the defense counselor of the area with some police officers raided them and arrested the client on allegations of homosexuality and possession of government stores. They alleged that the client was in possession of several national identity cards, some of which seemed forged, and that some people had already notified them that the client was a homosexual. The client was arrested and detained at Bussia Police Station on the 17th of July 2024. He was arraigned at Bussia Chief Magistrates Court on the 24th of July 2024 and remanded until the 26th of August 2024. 1. 8. HRAPF, PA, 65 and 9/24. The 22nd of July 24 Kampala homosexuality. The client reported a friend of his who had stolen his household property and a land title. Upon arrest, the friend instead started accusing the client of being a homosexual. The police officers at Nairobi Police Station relied on the accusations made by the client's friend to arrest the client and charge him with homosexuality. He was arrested on the 22nd of July 2024, spent 7 days in police custody, and released on police bond on the 31st of July 2024 after HRAPF lawyers 1. Served the police with an application for unconditional release before court. 9. HRAPF, PA, 65 and 7/24. The 25th of July 24 Isingiro homosexuality. The client had been living with his wife and stepson. That the stepson had a tendency of getting drunk and destroying things at home, and that he would even verbally abuse the client while drunk. Due to his stepson's character, the client decided to chase his stepson away from his home. On the 22nd of July 2024, he was summoned at police and he was informed that his stepson had reported him for having sodomized him. The client was required to make a statement in respect to the said allegations and he was thereafter released on police bond on the same day. 1. 10. HRAPF, PA, 66 and 0/24. The 26th of July 24 Kampala homosexuality. The client was at a restaurant where he used to be employed as a waiter, and some men who usually frequented the restaurant called him outside. He immediately walked towards them thinking that they wanted to be served, but they instead pounced on him and they started assaulting him while accusing him of being a homosexual. After assaulting him, they reported him at Kabalagala Police Station, nearby police station, and he was arrested and detained on charges of homosexuality. The client's employer who terminated his contract. This client was arrested on the 22nd of July 2024 and he was released on the 25th of July 2024. 1. 11. HRAPF, PA, 65 and 8/24. The 27th of July 24 Kampala homosexuality. On the 26th of July 2024, the client went to his friend's home to check on him after he had informed him that he wasn't feeling well. The client's friend father found them together in his friend's bedroom and he started interrogating them and asking the client the reason as to why they were both in the same room, yet it was late in the night. The father started making an alarm 2. Something which attracted neighbors who came, and then he started accusing his son and the client of being homosexuals, and with the assistance of the neighbors, they were taken to Kavina Police Post and then Kabalagala Police Station where they were detained and charged with homosexuality. They were released on police bond on 1 August 2024 after HRAPF lawyers served the police with an application for unconditional release before court. 3.3 Evictions. In July 2024, there were 10 cases of evictions from rented property that were reported to HRAPF's legal aid clinic, affecting 11 individuals. This was a reduction from the 12 cases recorded in July 2024, affecting 14 individuals. The cases were reported from the districts of Kampala, Fort Wakiso, 2 Mbarara, 2, and 1 case each in Gulu and Kitgum. The evictions were perpetrated primarily by the property owners, landlords, 6 landlords working with the LC leadership in 2 cases and in 1 case each by neighbors and a friend. No. Case code date of reporting. District perpetrator brief facts number of victims. 1. HRAPF, PA, 63 and 6/24. The 7th of July 202-4. Kampala landlord. The client was arrested on homosexuality-related charges, and upon his release, he went back to his home, but the information about his sexuality had spread around the village and his landlord ordered him to vacate his premises. 1. 2. HRAPF, PA, 64 and a 2024. The 15th of July 24. Mbarara friend. The client had a friend who had offered to take him back to school for adult learning. However, they had a disagreement after the client refused to put on a skirt as part of the school uniform and instead insisted on putting on trousers. The client's actions did not go well with his friend, who immediately 1. Evicted him from the house which she had offered him and also stopped paying for his school fees. 3. HRAPF, PA, 63 and a 24th. The 18th of July 24. Wakiso landlord. Some of the client's neighbors started spreading rumors around the village and to her landlord about her sexuality. The neighbors had always pestered their landlord to evict her, and consequently, the client's landlord issued her with an eviction notice ordering her to vacate the premises within 2 weeks' time. 1. 4. HRAPF, PA, 64 and 2/24. The 18th of July 24. Mbarara landlord. The client, together with her friend whom she had been staying with for about a year, were evicted by their landlord on suspicions of being lesbians. She even reported them to the local area leaders, who are currently offering assistance to the client's landlord to ensure that the client not only vacate the house, but also leave the village. 2. 5. HRAPF, PA, 64 and 0/2024. The 19th of July 24. Wakiso neighbor. The client was arrested with 4 other friends and were detained at Wakiso police station and later arraigned at Wakiso court on charges of unnatural offenses. Upon their release from prison, he had nowhere to go and his friends offered to host him for some months as he organizes himself. Unfortunately, after staying just a few days at his friend's home, one of the neighbors who had learned about their arrest started attacking him, that he was a very bad boy and that he was the one encouraging his friends to practice homosexuality. On several occasions, he threatened to call police to come and arrest him if he did not leave. The client got scared and he decided to leave. 1. 6. HRAPF, PA, 64 and 3/24. The 19th of July 24. Kitgum landlord, locale authorities. The client was issued with an eviction notice by his landlord ordering him to vacate his premises on suspicions that he was a homosexual. The area local leaders were also notified about the fact that the client was being evicted due to suspicions of being a homosexual, which they supported. 7. HRAPF, PA, 63 and 8/2024. The 20th of July 24. Kampala landlord. The client was arrested on charges of homosexuality and he was detained at Kabalagala police station. Upon his release on police bond, he went back to his rented house. Unfortunately, his landlord ordered him to vacate based on the charges. 1. 8. HRAPF, PA, 64 and 4/24. The 20th of July 24 Gulu landlord. The client's landlord ordered her to vacate her premises by end of July due to the fact that several people around the village had approached him, complaining that the client is a lesbian. 1. 9. HRAPF, PA, 63 and 9 2024. The 25th of July 24 Kampala landlord. The client was arrested on homosexuality-related charges and his arrest was highly publicized. Upon his release on police bond, his landlord ordered him to vacate his premises. 1. 1. 1. 10. HRAPF, PA, 63 and 7 2024. The 26th of July 24 Wakizo landlord. The client's friend outed him that he was gay. This was after he had a misunderstanding with his friend, who had stolen his household property. That when the client blamed him, he started accusing him of being gay, and many of the client's neighbors, including his landlord, heard their arguments. The client's landlord started suspecting him of being gay, and consequently he ordered him to vacate his premises by end of the month. 1. 4. Comparison with June 2024. Although there was a reduction in the overall number of cases reported, the number of cases involving actions that deliberately targeted persons for negative treatment on basis of their real or presumed SOGIE slightly increased, and the number of victims also increased. In June 2024, a total of 81 cases involving LGBTI persons were reported as compared to 72 cases reported in July 2024. In terms of cases where individuals were specifically targeted on the basis of their real or presumed SOGIE, there was an increase from 32 cases affecting 35 persons in June 2024, to 34 cases affecting 39 persons in July 2024. In both months, the highest number of recorded cases were cases involving violence and threats of violence against individuals on the basis of their real or presumed sexual orientation, with 15 cases affecting 16 individuals in June and 14 cases involving 15 persons in July 2024. For the first time ever, cases of arrests overtook cases of evictions, as there were 11 such cases in July 2024 affecting 14 individuals, increasing from 5 cases affecting 5 individuals in June 2024. Their cases of evictions continued to reduce to 9 evictions affecting 10 persons in July 2024 from 12 cases affecting 14 individuals in June 2024. A worrying trend is the increase in the number of arrests and the use of charges under the AHA. 11 cases of arrests for sexuality-related offenses were recorded. Surprisingly, in 9 of these cases, the individuals were never caught in any sexual act or any semblance of were individuals caught in the sexual act, but were rather found at their workplaces, or the police plied into their phones, or they were accused by neighbors without evidence. Nevertheless, the police arrested then, and in some instances the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions preferred charges. Anal examinations also resurfaced in at least one case, yet it is very clear that they are evidentially worthless, and yet they greatly undermine the dignity, privacy and bodily autonomy of the victim. Also, pre-trial detention continues to be a big issue, with those arrested spending more than 48 hours in police custody contrary to the provisions of the Constitution. In 3 of the cases, the persons were only released upon the police being served with applications for unconditional release that HRAPF lawyers had filed before courts of law. 5. Comparison with July 2023. In July 2023, 2 months after the AHA came into force, a total of 84 cases were handled involving LGBTIQ persons, of which 53 cases involved actions that directly targeted persons on the basis of their real or presumed SOGIE, 63.1% of all cases handled. The actions in these cases affected a total of 67 people and included 24 eviction cases, 21 cases of real or threatened violence, and 6 arrests on sexuality-related charges. In contrast, 72 cases involving LGBTIQ persons were handled in July 2024, of which 34 cases involved actions of targeted, deliberate homophobia, 48.6% of all cases handled, and 39 persons were affected. The number of cases in which individuals were specifically targeted for detrimental treatment purely on the basis of their SOGIE has reduced significantly between the 2 months, from 63.1% of all cases handled in July 2023, to 47.2% of all cases handled in July 2024, the 14th month of implementation of the AHA and the 4th consecutive month following the decision of the Constitutional Court doing away with some provisions of the Act. 6. The first 14 months of the AHA 2023 in Uganda. In the first 14 months of the AHA 2023, a total of 1,238 cases involving LGBTIQ persons have been handled across the legal aid network, of which 667 (53.9%) targeted LGBTIQ people on the basis of their sexuality, affecting a total of 850 persons. The breakdown of cases so far is as follows. Nature of violation. June to December 2023. January 2024. February 2024. March 2024. April 2024, May 2024, June 2024, July 2024. Total number of cases. Evictions 164-30-32-23-19-16-12-10-306 Violence 137-25-24-20-17-20-15-13-272 Arrests 384-3-9-855-11-83 Other forms of discrimination 6000006. Total 345-59-59-52-44-41-32-34-666. The victims in these cases are: nature of violation. June to December 2023, January 2024, February 2024, March 2024, April 2024, May 2024, June 2024, July 2024. Total number of victims. Evictions 204-3547-2623-17-14-11-377 Violence 171-32-20-20-22-16-15-328 Arrests 59-63-20-18-11-514-136 Other forms of discrimination 6000006. Total 440-73-82-66-61-50-35-40-847. Although evictions still have the highest number of cases of overall and the highest number of victims, there has been a noticeable reduction in their number since the Constitutional Court decision nullifying provisions criminalizing the letting of premises for purposes of homosexuality. This shows the power of decriminalization in reducing the numbers of violations. It is also clear that the numbers of violations recorded are way above the pre-AHA period, against showing the effect of criminalization on increasing the number of violations against LGBTIQ persons. 7. Conclusion. While the continued implementation of the AHA remains a major challenge for the LGBTIQ community in Uganda, it is evident that the position of the law has a huge bearing on the human rights situation for LGBTIQ persons, as it is now clear that the modification of the law by the Constitutional Court led to a reduction in some types of violence and violations on the basis of SOGIE in a trend that has more or less held steady over the past months. Those provisions of the law which were not nullified continued to be a big source of violence and violations against LGBTIQ persons, specifically arrests.